here on the desk. Now let's bring in our absolutely gorgeous casting duo.
Whoa!
Look who's here!
The New Yorkers
look
here!
who's decided to show up for work finally.
Just for this game.
Yeah,
For the New
Just
York.
for
York
one.
Excelsior,
I'm
let's
out
go.
after this one.
Do you cheer
nice.
for New York?
Just for? No, I'm here just for the New York game. I don't think they're gonna win. but I'm here for New York.
The question was, he going to cheer for New York, though?
Oh, no.
No.
I don't cheer for anybody though. I don't cheer for anybody. I don't even cheer for my friends.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I don't think you even cheated your own marriage, to be fair.
No, I did that. That's a different way. But
I mean,
yeah.
what's going on with this New York team? Because we were kind of confused about some of the roster choices here. Like, what's happening with the backline? Why is Fitz playing support? Like, there's a lot of, and like, I'll be honest, Fitz
9 supports.
Yeah, exactly. Fitz, a very accomplished DPS player. On the Army, we had a lot of questions. It was not great. Where's Kellen going? Is Kellen going to develop into this sort of talent that so many of the rosters that have housed him are hoping he will?
I mean, how many different rosters and kind of permutations do you need to go through this before you kind of have your answer, right?
Do we have it already?
You know, we might. We very well might. It's also wild. We're in a world in which Washington Justice, we got 3-0 predictions over there. Johnny's talking about milk. We got no idea the hell he's
Milk
talking
and
about.
jalapenos.
He also shows up. I thought I was a little bit underdressed, but he's got shorts on.
Right.
He's got like a knee brace.
No, look, he's got a really puffy
tennis shoes.
collar. He's starting to look like the. I tell you what, a couple of weeks he's going to grow out like the Earl of Sandwiches. Like I swear that is just going to get bigger and bigger.
He's also got a cool pocket on
He's
the
got
front, though.
yeah.
I saw that.
I ain't never seen a pocket on a knit. That's kind of lit. All right, Johnny.
Nice pocket, Johnny.
Slay.
Way to
Slay,
go, bud.
Johnny. Again, like the Justice, someone we, I guess maybe have less questions about, so they come up a little bit less in this pre-game. Seeing Mirror, of
Dude,
course.
they've been sick.
Yeah.
I mean, they have been sick, like, all throughout. Like, they're, like, probably the biggest surprise of the season thus far. In this region.
Dog water somewhat. He's probably more of a surprise to me, but
I think there's some circumstances there, but, you know.
They have a state-of-the-art esports facility, as was announced earlier this week. It's part, of course, of a university, but good luck to them, of course. Great to know they have some new digs. Let's talk about the Justice here. Alpha E trying to dig the NYXL off of this center point here. So again, we saw this in the London versus Houston game, right? We had the thorough composition, Matt, and Houston were unsuccessful in actually getting London off the point and winning that round.
Yeah, no, I mean, Alpha E, though, putting down some decent damage here. At the start, they get like a hack on the opposite side of the point on a creative. That's a huge biotic grenade next to it 4. You'd think this would be the time you'd be able to get them off the point, but not yet.
Yeah, again, a lot of damage, a fair bit of pressure, but this is playing out in the way we maybe expected to here. New York able to stand strong for now on the point. Eventually, it's Shockwave moves away out to the point and try to chase a kill by the looks. Alpha able to punish, but New York are just gaining this capture percentage all the while. Lep needs to go here, and Alpha E agrees.
Yeah, I mean, look, they're eventually going to crack this, it looks like, right? I know that goes both supports, but still, above 30% here for New York. So a pretty good first early hold. It'll now be how do they kind of get back onto the point, right? You know, you have this constant damage of the Pharah kind of coming in, and you're just basically, forced to run into it. How do you use maybe like those TPs and other types of things, to kind of work your way back to the point?
See how New York want to approach this floor, already harrying at their behinds, trying to make it a little bit hard.
I just got a bunch of tweets that I look taller. I am not on a box.
Nah, you wear big shoes though. You have huge shoes. You could choke a donkey with those crepes, my guy.
Well, the time that my shoes were just flamed by you, New York has slid the point back, and the point will go back the other way. That is a nano barrage there from Alpha E. Just comes in, cleans up everybody there.
Hey, let's answer the biggest issue with Pharah going in for a barrage, which of course is that lack of durability. So why not invest everything into Alpha E?
Lack of mobility, durability.
Yeah, all kind of goes in the same bucket there, but being out of nano Alpha E, I mean, what better candidates are there? I mean, you could argue maybe Mirror in a pinch, but New York, not able to do too much there. EMP before they can get to the point. That is a 5-player EMP. Flora makes it count. Lep's already out of the picture now, so it's really a limping New York roster trying to make their way to the point, and they still flip it because the Justice can't stand
they
there.
flip it with like the ice wall and then a Symmetra wall. It's like, can you hold on to this? They actually want to use Amp Matrix to try and win.
Yeah, look at the positioning from Mirror though. Anyone who wants to stand behind the Amp Matrix and get value from it is susceptible to that Meteor Strike. Still, by the way, New York on the point. Psycho put to sleep here. Alpha E looking to try and line that one up. It's going to be Mirror to finish the job. Lep returns and quickly will be sent packing once more. Again, the Justice get this done, but it takes a fair while.
New York wants to win in like 20% chunks, right? Like get on, get 20%, get on again, get another 20%. They'd end up losing in that fashion as well. But they're going to actually go with the full-on dive. This is a smart move. Typically against like a far right, you know, any kind of like aerial hero, even like Echo, like Tracer, Sombra, always pretty strong against that. And then obviously Kellen now on Diva.
We've seen Alpha Yi counter this comp himself by playing like a solo Echo, right? Just try and come up on the far end and hit it with that burst damage. Lep going down at the start of the fight, though, not great again. It's the biggest tool for New York to cross this gap, especially without the Symmetra anymore. This time Alpha Yi shut down as he tries to go for that barrage there. FD God can only bring one back. It's Mirror back in the fight and back to the point.
Can you have the Valk here? Just try and keep people alive here on the point and see if you can just hold it for a little bit longer. As yeah, it looks like the Justice, you'll flip, you'll got Mirror on the point here. See if they can actually kind of hold this. That's a sound barrier. Yeah, New York feels that they need to invest that to kind of get Mirror and off of the point.
They don't have the point yet, so this is still the Justice ticking up. Psycho eventually is able to peel away and find Teru. So New York will have what they came for. The Justice obviously going to make some switches up here with Alpha Gear coming off the Farah, unsurprisingly. Mirror dealing with Kellen there and actually heading towards the point means reinforcements are going to come just as Mirror really starting to pressure.
So it'll be Meteor Strike just to get out. What do you have here for the Justice? I mean, you can nano your Tracer after the Sombra EMP. You can nano the Sombra as well, some options, or even just nano the Doom. They actually have to nano the Doom because that's Psycho actually hitting a Pulse Bomb onto Mirror.
Yeah, Flora comes in with that EMP. Shockwave going down there is pretty bad for this New York team. Shockwave had a chance to come back in with an EMP and might still, but 4 players left for the Excelsior. Mirror trying to make sure they can get a clean cap here. That hasn't happened yet, and now the Kitsune Rush is going to come in. Left again. Oh, he's back to spawn once more. The guy's having a rough day. Hit with that biotic grenade from Teru. The follow-up, of course, it's Alpha Yi, so he's going to be there. Self-destruct. Mirror just throws up his arms. T-poses on that exploding mech, able to survive. And it will be Washington left standing when the smoke clears.
Pretty good round, though, from New York, right? You're able to kind of take that one the distance, but I do feel like a little bit of that is just in terms of like the compositions that both these teams are running, right? Where you're running the far there for the Justice. It's going to take a little bit to get players off the point. New York just playing very hunker down on the point. I don't think you could replicate that like on other maps, right? So I think we'll see get a much better sense as we move on what New York team we're getting today.
I don't mind the pivot, Matt. I think you pointed out switching towards the Diva composition gives New York many more options, right? And it's ultimately Alpha Yi that's sort of forced to switch off here. But Alpha Yi ends up switching off to Tracer, which ends up being even more of a nightmare than you initially were in. I like the Junker Queen here. This could be a lot of fun, especially if Kellen is going to come out on the Ramatra. Sim TP forward, Alpha Yi back on his signature hero.
Yeah, as New York wants to play like pretty slow again, right? Ramatra, typically we see like Ramatra like Brawl, right? And this is the Ramatra with a May and Cassidy. So playing the Cassidy against double flankers would make sense, but it feels like he gets taken advantage of way more than kind of like the benefits typically are of the Cassidy. So we'll see how Shockwave deals with this. I mean, look at this, targets everywhere.
Yeah, that mag grenade not quite finding its target
from
there.
Downtown.
Yeah. Mirror actually falling in the front line, though. The Justice, the Kiriko Lucy are not able to keep the Junker Queen standing. So New York with this slower style composition, slowly able to maneuver into pole position, and we'll have switch here, Mirror on the Doom.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Like the Cassidy didn't even really play a huge part of it. They just kind of like ran down the rest of the members, right? I actually thought the Justice composition looked pretty good that they were coming out with. They would have actually said they were going to kind of take that early fight, but New York proving yet again here at the start, at least in this series, that they can hang.
Creative hacked. Oh my goodness! Alpha Yi was there with the one clip. Okay, a bit of assistance from Flora, but nonetheless, that is brutal stuff. Losing your Baptiste, which is so crucial, and keeping that Ramatra virtually unkillable, but a random ice spike from Psycho deals with Alpha Yi. Mirror back in though, Lep. Oh my goodness, back to spawn with him. 7 deaths for Lep. Shockwave at 7 as well, by the way. We have a nice block here for Psycho to buy some more time. New York again start with the lead, at least numerically.
Yeah, it's a nice immortality field there from Creative. That's like a double biotic grenade that comes through, able to keep everybody up. But yeah, the Justice, they just have to kind of wait to get everybody back in the fight.
Alpha Yi currently 17 final blows, 2 deaths.
It's pretty good.
28 final blows on the entirety of the Justice, by the way. Also, New York have 12 in total. That is, yeah, pretty insane. Flora able to find Lep once more. The Lucio cannot catch a break. Teru pressured, but Psycho's forced to drop down. Ice Wall not available until now, so he's going to use that to throw up a bit of safety for oneself.
But look how many players he occupied there, right? both supports and the tank for like a long period of time. Yeah, it's a crazy play there by Psycho.
Terry looking dangerous here. No matter what hero they're on. Nano here for Alpha Yi. Why not? Yep. You've been chosen as tribute, Alpha Yi. Big job. And it'll be a tough one for the Justice here. They've allowed much of this round to go. And again, it's probably the durability of like this May Ramatra setup now switching towards the D.Va that's meant New York have never been off the point entirely for this entire round.
Yes, Kellen comes back on the D.Va just to get back to the point. That's going to be an EMP from Shockwave as you're already at 99% here for New York.
Sound barrier here for FD God. Teru benefiting from it as well, but the rest of the Justice aren't really in position. Psycho throws up the wall. Alpha Yi doesn't have the ability to traverse up and down, so has to go the long way around, and Psycho lines him up. Nicely done. May looking pretty scary at that range. Amira's got no choice but to take an ice bath. New York strike back awfully quickly here in the second round.
Yeah, what, like, if Hanzo just randomly firing is like the logs, like May randomly firing is like just ice logs, right? Where it's just launching them down.
Yeah, there's an. I think I said it wasn't random; it's speculative. That's what you're doing. You're speculating on the potential location of your target, but there's not a lot of guesswork when Alpha Yi tries to kiss you.
Look a little bit right, look a little bit left.
Trying to give you a big old smooch and gets an iceborne lobotomy for his travels.
Psycho actually had a really good round there, so maybe they can kind of hang here with this Justice team. As how far can you go with Alpha Yi, contributing what, like most of the final blows?
18 of 31, yeah.
Yeah, that's most.
That's most of, that's true.
Yeah, that would still be factual.
You're not wrong.
Quick math.
Facts with Matt. Genji for Alpha Yi here.
It's not really facts, I just did math.
I mean, it ain't wrong. So, give you that.
Oh, there goes FD God.
Yeah, maybe doesn't expect that turret density there, I think, from Shockwave. Coming out with the Symmetra and staying on the Symmetra here with the Ryan frontline. Very strong against some sort of dive, plus the Genji DPS setup here. This is a pretty good comp choice for New York.
Yeah. I mean, they've done a really nice job here in this first map, just like mixing and matching different looks, right? To go up against the Justice, where you would typically like having the Winston here against the Sim, right? Can gonna get rid of all those turrets and whatnot, but at least at the start, looks like Shockwave and Psycho have gotten really good value out of both the heroes.
It's a really safe front line for Shockwave to play in. It's not just the Reinhardt shield and defensive zone, but also Psycho.
Yeah.
Disrupt the shot there from Flora on the Sojourn this time around. Alpha Yi starting to regret that decision. Heads back upstairs. Here's the flank here. Both supports wrapping around here, so they're trying to make sure they can keep eyes, I think, on anyone touching the point here. This could get a little bit awkward. Yeah, Flora has to pull the plug on this now, and the May wall comes in a little bit too late to catch the Sojourn, but New York are wise to what Justice were trying to do, trying to outmaneuver them, and here comes an Ant Matrix from Creative.
Yeah, as now obviously you can't put any pressure on this point. You just don't want to run directly into an Ant Matrix. You're going to lose this charge here. From Flora. It's like, how do the Justice want to attack this? You do have the Primal here, and it's going to be Mir using the Primal in that small area, just trying to dislodge New York from the point.
I quite like the TP, though. New York getting some players out, I guess, of the danger zone there. Mira, though, taking to the skies once more, and this is where someone like FD God is bound to shine. 2 final blows for him. Justice are back in control, but once again, they're starting these rounds pretty late.
Do you swap here if you're New York? Like, do you get value out of this? I mean, well, Sim, you're going to have the ult, so maybe you don't, right? You actually just kind of get value out of this and then decide to make a move, because I don't know if you can just kind of play this Sim while you're going to like TP to that small corridor and then just get nano bladed. Like, is that the strat here?
It's the wall against the Ana that's quite powerful here for Shockwave, I think. Means that like really hard for Mira to get any healing, but Nano Genji might just cut this to the quick. Psycho trying to stave off Alpha Yi. There's an immortality field in play. Alpha Yi takes care of that, and then the rest of the business. And business is good.
Alpha Yi just, like, I mean, look, I thought that was going to happen in that tight, small room. They just decided to go really early with it, where it looks like Shockwave potentially staying on this pick, so.
Yeah, you think maybe, like, he wonders about playing an off angle here, but it could be the Genji pressure that, makes Shockwave reluctant to pick up a Sojourn of his own, or try for something like a Hanzo or anything that can play on the periphery. Okay. Mira may, it's unclear, may have been caught by a Maywall or something similar, but Creative is able to finish the job there. I'm not sure what FD God is up to there.
He's like 1v1ing a Sim turret over there.
He's locked in a deadly duel against an inanimate object and comes up second best.
There's a little solo shatter action there. As New York still with the lead, they can play pretty close to this door, right? You have like the Maywall on one side with a Blizzard, you have an Ant Matrix to the other. really good spot to play a close hold here, not let this dive kind of access the backline.
Yeah, we're back in a spot where this Reinhardt composition looks stellar, based on where New York are playing from here. There's a Blizzard in play, so trying to play on the point for the Justice is a pretty scary prospect as well. Anybody who gets too close to that probably gets frozen up by Psycho's primary fire. Flora doesn't have a good angle where he is right now. Probably pretty frustrating to play from there. And now we have a split. Mirror diving away from the rest of the roster. Flora on an off angle. Here comes the overclock. It's going to be a Maywall thrown out pretty much straight away. Creative threatening in the background with that Amp Matrix here. And that's where the Justice want to try and go. The Flora can't reach them. They fall back and a sound barrier is now in play. New York's is going to expire second. Shockwave, that is a harebrained assault. And with the Immortality Field, it might just
They got everybody there. they have Creative coming through. Shockwave as well through that TP, trying to go to the backline. As Psycho with the May is just so survivable, can kind of just stall the point out.
Ooh. Mirror jumped there, not quite getting where he needed to go. Flora, they're able to find Shockwave. Again, Creative is getting involved. 7 final blows on the Baptiste, and somehow FD God is a little bit too high to touch. Not what you want to see from a Washington Justice that has dealt with some pretty formidable foes thus far, Matthew. It's New York. Look heavily on basis of their compositions, but the execution also looked great on the pole.
Yeah, they looked really clean there to kick off map number 1, where I thought Shockwave did a tremendous job, like utilizing the teleporters, getting around the map, obviously his team following up in all these different positions. Really, I think, kind of caught the Justice off guard in that last round.
Real team effort from New York. 4 players, either 8 or 7 final blows each. On the Justice side, is like Mirror's 15, Alfie is like 19. So really, a lot of eggs in the Alpha U basket. They end up on the face of the Justice here.
Usually works pretty good.
Yes. Yeah, normally Alpha U go kill. I mean, we've seen variations on that strategy from many teams. Think about the Shock in previous eras, but the Justice aren't able to get it done. New York really showing a very team-oriented style of play. They're playing a little bit slower here, Matt, but it's looking really good. Shockwave TPing forward there was, pretty impressive, very aggressive, but the rest of the New York roster were there to back him up.
Yeah, no, the way they kind of like maneuver around the map, right, with those TPs is pretty interesting to see there. But I don't think you can kind of replicate that, going into King's Row. Gonna have to play a much more standard style of play.
Yeah, don't go too far. King's Row is your second map in this series. New York Excelsior start with a map win. See if they can hold on to the lead.
job. Get down in the car. One time, give it all. Bust it open hard. Let me see you drop. Hustle, baby, hustle. What the, oh my.
That's right, next stop on the New York Excelsior's quest for galactic domination is to win the video game. And in order to do so, Fitz comes in at support Matthew. Ben Best returning for the Justice.
It's so bizarre to see Fitz just like he's like a support player, I guess. Like, is that just something that's happening? Like,
it is extremely satisfying, Matt, because he's on the right, like camera-wise, you know, and now because he's got the window next to him, which is obviously closed because they're gamers, but like it's aesthetically very pleasing that he's there. We can now talk about, I guess, the impact he might have in game if we must, but it feels like this is New York's only real take for like a double flex support setup.
Yeah, I mean, that is true. I still don't love it, but yeah, that is accurate.
I tell you what, ask Jake what he thinks about Fitzana when you get a chance.
Yeah, the cable's not long enough. I'd go over to the green room and just shout at him. But yeah, I think obviously kind of jury out, right, for a debate on that one. We'll see kind of how it goes.
Because I couldn't be bothered to come into the debate. couldn't pencil that one in, mate.
Yeah. Everybody had an excuse. They still haven't got the jurors for it yet.
Mate, maybe if there was a jury for the debates on the desk, Jake wouldn't win all of them on account of being very popular. You know?
Yeah.
Maybe we should get one of those.
Every time they put a poll up, I'm like, even if Jake isn't an option, I feel like he's going to win the poll.
Yeah. I just feel bad. Every time it's like, okay, you're arguing against Jake and you have a hard point to argue, Johnny. Go. He's like, that. I'm dead.
That's what they should do for the next match. They should do who will win, both teams and Jake. I guarantee you Jake wins.
Just get him to show the pearly whites. It'll be over in a moment.
You got Fitz on the brig here. Playing some brig here. Going to protect Creative up on that high ground, and Shockwave on the Ashe, which Ashe typically sees some play here on King's Row. It's a little line up there from Creative. We'll see if it hits anything coming down.
We're seeing a few teams, Houston especially, are trying to play defensive setups on this map to punish slower composition. Talk about this in agreement with Johnny and Jake, and we saw them play Zenyatta, right? Few of those other sort of picks. You really want to put pressure down on the teams that take their time. The Justice, though, have FD got him Ben Best on their team, so...
I would also say that the Outlaws also have Fearless and Violence as well.
Well, yes. But also, the Justice probably don't really want to go that slowly with this kind of setup, right? You are already on the point. Ben Best obviously throwing a bubble down quite early here, and then Fitz is going to deal with... Sorry? Okay, Alpha Yi gets whip shot out of the air. Fitz with it. Sorry?
There's like whip shot and reset on like...
Oh, okay.
like,
that's nice. I like this.
As nice kills there from Fitz at the start, but you know that the Justice with Alpha E, right, is going to go fast. They're going to play aggressive, right? If you think you can... I mean, look, Shockwave's a fantastic hit scan player. If you think that he can kind of like make their life a little bit troublesome and you can play a little bit slower, I think this is a reasonable setup here for New York.
Yep. This is the dangerous spot to be. I think Shockwave knows that Flora is constantly looking. Also, this very easily forces Shockwave into a weaker position now, having to play from the choke. One also that's really telegraphed to Flora. He knows where Shockwave's going to rotate to off that ledge. Flora finding Psycho. Some of these kills are so weird this round.
Yeah, I mean, Alpha E actually just does a ton of damage on the high ground here with those grenades, but it was really Flora at the start. Flora put a shot into Shockwave and then actually got the kill on a Psycho, but this may not be all over. Psycho's back here on the Tracer, then Kellen on the Winston uses the Primal, and although things looked like it was going to go well for the Justice at the start, it all falls apart.
That was really efficient for New York to win that fight there. Just the Primal Rage committed. Kellen
the Justice want to come back and fight this fast. They still feel that like there's players coming back from spawn, they can take advantage of this.
So they're going to nano Kellen here just to try and maybe at least buy a little bit of time, right? This leaves Ben Best shield dancing on the point versus Psycho right now. So there's time at least for New York to get back. Kellen has created that opening, but nothing else derived from that nano really except for that time. See if it pays off. Pulse bomb there. No result for Psycho. Zap from Ben Best, who's going to get nano in turn, and he's headed straight for the backline. He sees Creative. Creative gets back behind the rally here. Ben Best realizes he might struggle to make much happen here with that Primal.
Yeah, I mean, Kellen gets hit with a bio, but he's able to kind of like live long enough here to get back to the rest of his team. They're going to get him fully healed up. Just do you have enough to contest again? I don't know if you do after this next bio.
Alpha you pushing past the point. The Justice end up getting it.
Kellen got hit with 2 biotic grenades there. The first one got him back through the choke, and he was able to live, but the second one prevented him from actually going back in and try and make a play on it.
I do think this matchup is a real test of New York's time together, to be fair. The Justice are a team that's quite strong and with very strong individuals. New York really prefer to play in a much more team-oriented manner, as we sort of saw on the previous map here. So if they can succeed here...
They may get rolled in this next fight, though. I mean, what? You nano Kellen here? You're going up against Primal, Duplicate, and a Dragon. What?
Oh, Fitz. That was so clever. He had a shield a turn, so he knew Alfie was around that corner.
Yeah.
Love that.
Alfie playing a little bit cheeky there. Maybe just going like if a Dragon would have came through the front side, right, and players got weak, he could have just beamed him.
Good pressure from Creative there. Alfie starved that sightline for the time being. Dragon Strike overhead.
That's really high up in the sky. I would love to know like what the aim was here. Maybe he's going for Kellen?
Maybe. Perhaps plays that was sort of sat up on the high ground that rotated down pretty quickly here. Alfie getting a lot of value from this Duplicate just quietly. Another buy before he goes would be pretty huge. Thank you very much. Lovely dude.
I love the nano there. And it just goes right onto the target who doesn't have the pulse bomb attached to them. Next to the target.
Good auto players. Look, hard to find. They are.
Look, it's fine.
So he's Duplicate. He's making use of it. Easy come, easy go. Don't worry about it.
Kellen's still contesting this though.
Primal.
Oh, and you're going to use Rally here.
There's a nano for Kellen as well. So there's a considerable amount of time able to be bought here. Benbest is in trouble. Stunned up by the Rally Bash. Forced back for the time being here. And there's that nano boost on the Benbest as well. Kellen will have that a little bit later on here, but decent defensive setups. Creative, nice sleep, able to jump out of the bubble here. Kellen looking to pressure now into the backline of the Justice. As Terror and FD got under a lot of pressure, but a defensive biotic grenade protects them pretty effectively. Benbest is going to fall, so the Justice have lost the tip of that spear.
Just burning clock, right? Just burning clock here for New York. That dynamite would have been huge if it would have hit around that corner, but you have a Bob here from the high ground as well. Bob can make a little bit of an impact here, so New York does a nice job actually getting that hold before the second checkpoint.
Well, you got to be pretty happy with how they've cycled through some of these defensive cooldowns, as they've had to give ground on the second phase of the map, sure, but
we've seen worse.
Yep. Far from we have, certainly have. Far from being rolled on this stage of the map like we predicted may happen. And here's the Bob, and you better believe he makes an impact. Crater where he lands. And yeah, the Justice really not sure-footed at the moment. Shockwave's starting to line him up. Clay Pigeon shooting.
Yep, and, that'll be just everybody. I think they're going back trying to make sure they don't get like backhapped or something.
Sure.
I think they're like missing one player there in terms of tracking it down, but a minute to go. You're in a pretty nice spot here for New York. Like, even just extending the game, right? Like, if they were to get this, they don't have a ton of time to, get that final checkpoint. Like, you set yourself up to potentially win your offensive side.
They're cycling back into these defensive ults now as well. Nano and Primal Rage. So, both of those essentially for the Winston here. Kellen can do a lot, create a lot of space. Psycho Pulse, Flora's going to be a deftly step aside from that one.
Oh, Benbest takes a ton of damage, though.
Yeah, Rally from Empty Gold's not enough to keep him up. Alpha though, always a sure thing. Able to burn Kellen down. So both teams without their Winston. Frustrating for New York, who were very close.
But New York, you're going to have a nano here, and you can nano Fitz, right?
Whoever.
I mean, if you wanted to.
Got nano a dead man. Yeah, not happening. All right, Psycho going to step up here. Kellen is going to be returning. It is going to be a nano boost for Psycho now to try and hang around as long as possible. Duplicate on the Ash. Bob would be unbelievably powerful in this part of the map, but the Dynamite for Alpha E cannot get past the bubble. Now under pressure, but still 6 seconds to work. That's not even necessary.
Man.
They don't need the ult.
Dude, Flora, I mean, that is a huge shot. If you have Fitz alive, you nano Fitz, he's also going to have Rally. I mean, he's 98% to Rally. You could add the nano with the break with the Rally on the cart, and I mean, you probably got to stop there.
Yep.
But Justice, behind Flora hitting a really nice shot. Keep it going.
I think if you're Kellen, you're furious that you have Primal now and not sort of for that fight. Never in a position to make use of it. Flora's been a problem.
Well, I think he had. I think it was just not.
What's the point?
Just, yeah, no,
what's the point?
No real point.
Just they were starting to cycle into some key defensive ultimates. But hey, clock been burned, right? Well and truly, we're under a minute left in the round here. Both teams relative parity, I guess, in terms of these ultimates. New York only going to part with these when they're forced to, I'd suggest. Shockwave is 8-4 right now, so having a pretty damn good game on the Ash.
Yeah, this will be a primal from Benbest trying to knock players back into the spawn. Yeah, it'll be Fitz with the Rally. But they already deal with Shockwave. I mean, that's a large chunk of damage coming down from that backside of the spawn.
There's that primal from Kellen. He's able to, again, force back most of the justice. You saw the furrowed brow of Ben. He was like, where's my team? They were dealing with Winston.
Yeah, but New York didn't really get much value out of any of that, right? I mean, Rally, Bob, and Primal, and the card is still moving.
Every second counts, though. Creative under pressure. Great sleep on Ben. Best steps inside of his bubble. They're going to get rid of the Winston, surely. He's going to jump away. Bite a grenade from Teru. Catches onto 2 players. Shockwave and Creative is forced to potentially go back to spawn. But here comes Psycho, ever the dependable, getting rid of Alpha Yi and finding FD got off the back of it. New York here looking excellent. When they're being forced to give some ground, Kellen deals with Flora. That was the other wild card, the other unknown element here. The Washington Justice brought to a stop inside the Foundry.
All right, so not a full map completion there for the Justice. They get pretty close, but I think the story's probably more New York came to play today.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, I don't think there's anything particularly beautiful about their play here, right? It's very utilitarian. Make as much use of Nano defensively as you can. Shockwave, just play from safe angles, try and find as many kills.
Nah, it's like New York the city. It's not super beautiful. It just gets the job done, right? You know, it.
If you say so, I don't know. I feel like you know, lovers of New York might be offended at their city not being called beautiful. But
oh, what do you mean?
What do I know?
Nah,
I liked it. I liked it very much.
It's acceptable.
The Italian food, something else. That was. Whew.
Oh yeah, I mean,
big fan of that.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it looks like you've been having plenty, mate.
Yeah, I've been doing good. I've been doing good.
Oh dear. Here come the Justice out on defense here. So I mean, looking a little bit disjointed. I think a lot of time, Matt, like Ben Best is diving in, but Kellen is just zoning the rest of the Justice team back. Psycho with a quick double here towards the end of the round.
It's actually crazy that Shockwave was getting chased by Ben Best with the Nano and like extremely low, turns the corner and just basically one-taps Teru before he dies.
Yeah, pretty close round, all told here. But for New York now, it's a matter of going up a gear. If they can get the map done, they'll be, I mean, geez, they'll be very pleased going 2-0 into the break here. The Washington Justice, look, I mean, I would say that they've had some softer matchups in this part of the season earlier on here, so it's been a little bit hard to gauge where they're at. But I think the eye test has shown us that this team is really frightening. Very, very, very good players in all the important roles here. So this is definitely an upset, I think, if they lose this map.
Oh, I would 100% say this is a pretty big upset if they were to lose this. I mean, the Justice is one of our teams this season that we've been pleasantly surprised with. They've had a really nice start. Obviously, as you see, 4-2. New York, obviously 2-4, but we've had like more questions about them, but they're playing quite well today.
All right, Kellen able to get his hands dirty. They're dealing with FD God. Great opener it was by Shockwave, and this is going to make it very hard for the Justice to defend this properly at all. Alpha Yi doesn't have the time to react to the focusing beam, and even if he did, he had nowhere to go.
You know what's really odd about New York? It's like they have a ton of players that I think like most people like, but it's just like together they haven't really been great, right?
Sure.
Like, I love watching like their entire roster, just like all the individual talent they have, but like as a combination of that talent, it just has not been awesome.
Yep.
But if you start to put it together and it starts to look a little bit like this, then sign me up.
Yeah. Probably speaks volumes as well. Well, I think Gator recently in the interview sort of felt that coaches maybe got too much credit, which I think is totally fair, but I think when you bring a team of disparate elements together like New York is and start to get results here, you have to definitely wonder about what kind of impact that support staff has been able to have.
Yeah, I think the value, I think Jake's spoken a little bit about it as Sego takes out Ben Best. It's looking like they just want to kind of get a fight there at the choke and get one kicked off. These players know the game so well. They don't need somebody to tell them like what's going on, right? You kind of need somebody to manage the expectations and egos and personalities to make sure everybody's kind of clicking on the right page. Because ultimately, at least I believe that players should have the most say in terms of like the strategy, right? They're the ones who are actually in here playing, like doing the work. Where I think that's kind of where I think coaching's evolved to a little bit, where you can rely a little bit more on your players.
Shockwave is in trouble here. Gets nanoed. Okay. Fitzel here. Okay, Alpha Yi, nice stick there. Just as the rally came out, so cutting that ultimate very short. This is the Justice now with an opportunity to really stabilize. They've gotten rid of all the healers now. It's a matter of clean up. Ben Best really wanted to make a point there, I think. really wanted to punctuate the end of that sentence.
He wanted to make sure they won that fight.
I mean, he definitely secured the fight win there. Good on you, Ben.
So, Primal Jax. I like that. I like that.
Oh, dear. Well, it's about sending a message.
Yup. It's about asserting his dominance there towards the end. They would have liked to have that back for this next fight, but
they do have the Dragon Strike here, and they've got Alpha Yi, which every time he appears on the scoreboard makes same impact as a big ultimate, surely enough.
Lost Terror though.
This is not good at all for the Justice. I mean, as Alpha Yi's repositioning, Psycho goes to town on the rest of his team, and a Storm Arrow catches Alpha Yi before he has a chance to alight. And here come the New York Excelsior, Matt, with, by the way, a ridiculous time bank. What?
I mean, in eternity, 431. They don't even, it's not really even like they need a full map completion, right? The cart stops a little bit sooner than that. So they don't need like a full spawn wipe and everything that goes in with that. So Shockwave will have a dragon. This should like kind of clear out some of this like choke area, right? You know, as you're trying to get it around these corners, they're in a pretty good spot.
Shockwave facing up off for the high ground here against Ben Best. Yeah, discretion perhaps the better part of Valor as Shockwave calls in some reinforcements. Simeon sidekick Kellen at the rescue. Flora going to get pressured down now as both Winstons try to shut down that Hanzo oversight. Shockwave being pocketed through much of this, but Ben Best still very hard to shift. And with the nano, Ben Best goes over the top into the back line. But again, just wants to create a little bit of space. Shockwave now has nowhere to go. Good positioning for Ben Best, but he's taking a lot of damage even through nano.
Yeah, he's just kind of like stuck in the middle, right? So they actually get a nano here on a Kellen. Ben Best gets hit with the effects of the biotic grenade, and now, but look at this, New York's going to be able to turn this corner, and they're going to have this rally. You're going to have Rally, Dragon, and the Pulse Bomb to use.
Okay, Flora. It's a stay of execution as Psycho is not quite able to put it together at the moment. He's going to be forced back onto the card. It's going to be Rally here for FD. God, Fitz has just expired. Shockwave has seen better days now, forced to back away, heal up a little bit.
Waiting on Primal?
Possibly. There's a Pulse here as well for Psycho. Looking at FD God for that one, and a Dragon Strike with some unexpected value. Fitz is out of the mix here. Psycho's Pulse. No connection here. The Justice have the numbers to push on back.
I thought he was going to use the Pulse Bomb when Shockwave used the Dragon, and like he kind of had Flora off on his own, right? I thought he was going to use the Pulse Bomb there. I thought he actually may have had a better chance of getting a kill than kind of just like waiting on it for so long. But you know, you have what, a nano boost to use here for New York. You still have tons of time. There's no reason to panic just yet, but you're definitely a little scared, I would say.
Now, again, a lot of this is about how you transition off that high ground that Ben Best is now occupying. If Shockwave can't get footing there, then things become much harder. Okay, Nano, very, very hard to shift Ben Best. He's still taking so much damage. Despite that, Psycho just dancing from outside the bubble. Ben Best is lucky to be alive. And his supports couldn't help him at the time, and that's a bad sign. Psycho eventually able to find Alpha Yi. Ben Best could not get topped up, and New York, how about it? Get the map done. They are 2-0 against the 4-2 Washington Justice.
I mean, nobody had predicted this start. I mean, everybody on the desk pretty much.
It's a lazy 3-1, salt of the earth, punch in, punch out, honest Overwatch they predicted.
Yeah, some, you know, gentleman's sweep. We'll get them on the map and we'll kind of get out of here. Some even thought 3-0, but I mean, New York has just kind of like ran through the first two maps. I mean, really, not just like, because sometimes you're in a series where an underdog's like 2-0 and you're like, ah, well, it doesn't really feel like a 2-0. Like, these feel like pretty convincing wins in favor of New York.
Yep.
Which tells you the Justice need to wake up. I mean, there's a real shot that New York is a 3-0 here, which would be a huge surprise.
Look, I guess we are about due for that like mid-season Washington Justice struggle bus episode. Not sure. I mean, like
it's a regular scheduled program.
I mean, yeah. Look, listen, we've been doing this for a few years now. The Washington Justice definitely have some hard questions to ask of themselves and one another. We'll give them the time to do that, and we'll be back on Shambali Monastery after the break.
fly and I'm flashy. It's the reason why the people always ask me, where you get that? Where you cop those? I've been fresh to death since a snot-nosed kid on the block with the illest sneakers. The girls all flock like they missile seekers. The party don't stop, got different features, exclusives, different colors, you can't get them either. I came here to stunt, that's what I go for. I don't buy a pair, I buy the whole store. A price tag's just a number to me, so I never miss a shot that I want and I see. Swish.
Again, while the Justice may have their shot at the mid-season very much still, on the cards, we're definitely looking to see them go from strength to strength a little bit here, and so far that's not been the case over this series. We've got a lot of subs here. See Fitz now, very frustrated. Like, could you just mirror Fitz's camera for me if you move him to the left? That is so jarring. Lep comes back in here at support.
Yeah, they want to play some Lucia there. We saw that Justice hype video. All I could think about is like their poses, and then remember when Ninja was doing that thing, like I'm not seeing enough movement, like all the players just kind of standing there.
Oh my goodness, that was incredible. That's right, trying to get him to do the floss, right?
Yeah.
Damn, gaming really is a whole nother world.
Oh, that was such a funny moment. I love that.
The Justice, yeah, a lot of
we gotta see some more movement.
Yeah,
in the video,
a lot of
in
pointing.
the game.
A lot of pointing
And in the game, a lot of movement.
A lot of pointing. All right, Shambali Monastery. Going to be the site of our third battlefield here in this series. New York have demonstrated, I guess, a real egoless play style. Yeah, very defensively effective. They're really on the ball today. It's actually been very pleasing to watch.
They look legit, really good today.
Yeah.
Against a Justice team that I think we both like, in terms of how they've performed so far this season. I think they're probably a little bit stunned about today. They probably thought, New York 2-4. We've been off to a great start. We're going to come in, get an easy, clean win. It'll be New York on defense to start here. Playing a little bit closer with Fitz on the Sojourn.
So we're going to see Ramatra compositions from both sides, as is customary for this map. Again, it will be a fairly close hold for this New York team. Have Kellen just be there to be pivoted around. You see he wants to relocate now as that Nemesis form comes out. Maywall attempts to section him off from the rest of his team.
This is so bizarre. Like, look at both Sojourns just kind of like fighting around the same area, not even looking at each other, just crossfire directly back onto the payload.
Again, they're really trying to charge up that rail off the enemy Ramatra barriers, make them more short-lived, I suppose. And the Immortality field popped first by New York here, so they're without that for the time being. They're trying to keep Kellen topped up. A 4 is looking pretty dangerous now at 100 charge. A very timely Maywall to block Florence damage, I guess. That comes up and gives the New York squad a little bit of time, but Creative is working overtime here.
Are you super fussed, like, of winning this fight, though, if you're New York, right? Like, is getting, like, obviously you've used your own Amp Matrix, but they, like, get Amp Matrix out and build some ultimates. Like, you still stalled out for a pretty decent amount of time, right? Still kind of, like, almost chalk it up as a W there for New York.
Yeah, because the timing works in that you can now play the next corner as New York, right? You're putting Washington in a position where they have to try and find a way to get a flank, or you just run headlong at each other and see who ends up standing after all the defensive utility has been exhausted.
Now you got both sound barriers available here for this next fight. See if they try, and we've seen teams like, you see where Kellen is, we've seen teams like bait the Ramatra there and then like throw a Blizzard in behind it, but the Justice, they don't want to fight that. They want to actually rotate all the way around. I think that's a smart move. We've seen so many teams lose that fight at that corner that way.
Yeah, in these Ramatra comps, these slower moving ones, yes, the rotation is telegraphed, but it looked like they had a chance to be pretty effective there, but losing Alpha Yi, not great for the attackers here. The defensive Blizzard from New York also going to be deployed now, and Fitz is very comfortable in this position. The Justice, all that effort into repositioning just to fall and lose a player so early.
Yeah, I mean, Alpha E just exploded. I mean, came around the corner and just was insta-killed pretty much, where I did like the idea to wrap around. I think taking this fight is a little bit of a bait sometimes, because you could just, the Ramatra goes Nemesis form, Annihilation.
You can't get anything done there.
We actually casted a game with the London Spitfire where they played the Reinhardt in there, and they got like a hold in the sim and TP'd in and out.
Yep. They could TP the Reinhardt out, also put a lot of turrets in that corner, so it made it even harder, more punishing to play through the choke here.
Yeah, that spot is brutal to contest, as you currently see.
And again, this is Washington. They're trying to brute force a solution through this very same choke. You feel like maybe they could have just tried to wrap around once more, right? That reposition looked pretty good. Unless they were trying to guarantee mirror some form of value from that Annihilation, but that doesn't happen at all.
It's just a sad ice block there from Alfie, just trying to get out. Doesn't expect the chase. Maywall behind him. Nemesis in front, so you're going to wait for Alfie to get things started again. But yeah, I mean, maybe you go and take that off angle right with the Baptiste. You get the Amp Matrix from like behind. Like, they're in a rough spot. This is a tough corner to get through.
The Justice feel rudderless at the moment. Okay, so they opt again to wrap around. Again, slower comp even with the Lucio, so this is heavily telegraphed, and Creative should have a decent angle. Nice off angle here for this Amp Matrix. Yeah, Alpha has to challenge this, and who comes to the rescue? But
Nice
Lep,
help, yeah.
FD God is clinging to life for now, and that annihilation is going to cause a lot of issues for Washington here. Great peel from Lep, really nice. Realizing just how important Creative's setup in that corner was.
Yeah, I mean, the annihilation there from Kellen. And insult to injury towards the end, so Flora is going to go and play Hanzo here. 17 seconds left. You're just looking for a pick, right? I mean, you are in panic mode. This would be horrible for the Justice. You're already down 2-0. If the cart can't even make through the second choke.
Yeah, don't need to answer that question. We know exactly what's going to happen. Flora wants an angle here. They'll switch to the Hanzo, looking for something reminiscent of a Hail Mary. Some info gained here as he tries to pop up over the wall. It's a pretty threatening position to be in, and Lep is going to eat it.
Oh, he had sound barriers.
Yeah, no chance to make that one happen here. Flora might have bought the Justice an opportunity to continue on this map. Kellen frozen up here, Blizzard expended, but we're not done yet. There's potentially another opportunity to fight. With Lep having gone down first, he'll be in position to taxi some teammates. It's going to have to be quicker though.
Yeah, I mean, but they're going to have a sound barrier on the other side. The benefit for New York would be you have your Blizzard, right? So if you kind of get both sound barriers out, you know, maybe you're going to just trade some damage. And
Fitz will be
get
late.
your Blizzard out. Oh, Psycho actually has used Ice Block early, yeah.
He can't touch. Oh, man, that stings.
Psycho, I think, took a shot from Flora and had the Ice Block on the way down.
But my question is, Matt, why not come from the window in Ice Block instead of sort of going, perhaps there's not even a plan there from New York to try and contest. So
maybe they're okay giving it up. Like,
maybe. It's a long walk back for defenders, though. That's for sure. Here's the Dragon Strike straight down the stairs here. That's avoided mostly by Washington.
That Maywall from Alfie is not really good either. You see, it didn't really block the Amp Matrix. It was just kind of like to the side of it.
Blizzard there. This is where New York can start to get back in the game here. Amp Matrix isn't going to find much value with the Maywall curtailing it. Flora looking like a meaty pulp presently. Okay, things got a little bit dicey elsewhere in the fight though. Tero and Alpha Gear, yeah, but to find some kills here. So Kellen now won't have a chance to make that annihilation happen. This really is about time buy though for New York, taking a fight there.
You're just kind of stalling, right? You're not really kind of playing to get a stop there and then hold them. You're just trying to like buy some more time, so maybe you kind of have a better ultimate advantage here towards this part of the map and get your hold here. I feel like New York's had a few opportunities to like end this offense already.
I keep coming back to the Hanzo switch by Flora, opening up that last fight, getting that one pick on Lucio with sound barrier, and hey, how about this one for you?
So
this time it's Fitz falling, yeah. Talk about big picks on targets with ultimates ready to burn. It's another one down, and this Blizzard is well placed. Kellen is going to be frozen stiff here. And that sound barrier, going to have to do a lot of lifting. Here comes the off-angle Dragon Strike coming through. Kellen's able to step back. They've found Flora, but in terms of stopping the checkpoint, that's the issue. Kellen will be forced off.
He's had his arms folded for a really long time. Here's an overclock to... this is not great. I mean, New York was looking really good. That first hold, right? You know, Flora, though, early pickoffs, as Fitz is now going to go play Hanzo. Just those early pickoffs and that burst damage from the Hanzo just seems so impactful.
Especially if the enemy team is fighting through chokes. I don't think you take him for shield pressure necessarily, as Ramatra has plenty of that of his own. Some high ground here, conditionally, at least for defenders up on this corner. New York need to put a stop to this now, as they've let the Justice get back in the game a couple times. Another great Maywall here for Alpha Yi. Psycho's forced into the ice block. That's all the defensive utility gone. Now you dig a little bit deeper. If you're the Justice, you can get the job done. Mira pushing up here with this annihilation.
Completion out of this?
Yep.
I mean...
Oh, yeah, Matt.
That would be an interesting turn of events, right? I mean, they looked like they were about to get swept, getting held in that corner, and then they finish with 1:13.
Yeah, you're very frustrated, I think, if you are the New York Excelsior. What just transpired this is not typically the kind of map where an attacking team could just run away with it, right? It doesn't get any easier for attackers, really.
No, I mean, you're in a position for New York where, you know, maybe if Floor doesn't jump over the wall and kill Lep, you have sound barrier there. You hold that and win the series. But you've, on the other side, given up a full completion with 1:13 in the bank.
Yeah, not the way that New York thought this one would go. And now I guess that puts a lot of pressure on them because a map completion here on Shambali Monastery is never a sure thing, let alone one with over a minute of time remaining.
I hate it for New York, though. Like, you just let the Justice just, like, linger around in this series, right? That you win a map like this on Shambali, push, first fight's so important, Washington wins that, you're
Control.
back in a game 5. I mean, it's, the better teams in the league close those situations out, I feel like.
So New York, suffice to say, need to come out of the gates swinging. Let's see what this Sombra adds to their strategy. You notice they're not going to be playing like a longer range hit scan DPS at this rate.
All right, let's see.
Mira has
888.
Well, I mean, my stats and his 888, yeah, I've got 6639 for Mira there, but he's the one that's hitting tab, so we'll give him that.
Yeah, who is lying to you guys at home? Mirror, Mitch, or Jake? Put the poll in the chat. Is it Jake?
Hey, that's
Jake
fine.
will
I'll
win.
let Jake with that poll. That's fine.
Jake will win. Jake will win.
Don't ask questions, just hit Jake and hit submit. All right. That's callback humor. I like that. All right, Immortality Field down for Terry.
I didn't realize there was a name for it. I was just trying to be funny.
Oh, yeah, that's the thing. Don't think about it too
I'm
much.
just natural,
The more
I
of a science you try and make it, the less funny it is.
Yeah, I was going to say the more I try and think, the worse.
I read some of
Yeah.
Johnny's books on stand-up. So saw him lying around in the green room. He's cooking, Matt.
But he's writing books.
No, he's reading them, though.
Oh.
Yeah.
I was going to be like, who's reading books?
How to be funny to Americans.
I think Johnny's funny.
Yeah. Unintentionally.
The cart's kind of making its way down the street here.
Yeah, look, the Justice kind of don't have an opportunity to really stall here because the way they fall back from that first position, they get caught on the way through. They try and, I guess they rotate back through like the extremity of the map and get caught in some of these chokes here. So this is pretty good for New York. And I guess they can't catch Mira here, but they get around this nasty little choke here. This is very promising for the Excelsior.
Yeah, I mean, you get the cart around that corner, like you mentioned. This is where the Justice really got stalled out for a period of time. It's now you come back and fight it with what? Not really an awesome spot for an Ant Matrix, right? Like maybe on the corner here, like you wrap around the side, but still not really a great angle. Taro uses his for the Justice, and I mean, they just kite it really easily. I mean, you're not going to move the cart, but nobody's taking any damage to it.
Ant Matrix in this part of the map, Houston really made it look very important. See what just a Baptiste with a good angle can do here. And look at this, New York really know their way around this map. They're going to deal with Annihilation here, though. A timely Immortality Field. Can they bring the lumbering giant Ramatra down? No. Mira's able to find that kill. Lep going down. Now a sound barrier here for the defenders. Just Mira and FD God benefiting for the time being. Fitz is able to outfox Mira for the time being. And this is New York with 4:16 to play.
What are your thoughts on that sound barrier?
Oh, no, not very good.
I think there was one more player alive from the Justice, and it looked like that's when Mirror and FD God made the decision to sound barrier out. And I think that player died before it landed. So it ends up being a two-player sound barrier. It probably was intended to be three, but...
FD God still has a higher sound barrier efficiency than Lep on this map. It's 4 plays 3.5, so it's fine. Let him have some of those here and there. He's done pretty well so far. Blizzard thrown down. Oh my goodness, all of the Justice take an ice bath. Not recommended unless you're a really annoying fitness influencer. Justice not happy about this turn of events. New York are blazing a trail.
And now you have this sound barrier for New York, but you know that there's not really probably anything on the other side. Like you don't even really feel the need to invest it. As this is actually a really good showing from New York because they could have easily just like rolled over and folded this map down of like, yeah, we kind of blew it. Like, let's just kind of
feel like they really want it.
Do whatever on offense. Yeah, no, they've come out and they've played really strong.
Look at this, pushing these DPS back into the corner. Great Maywall. Flora trying to peer in from around it. Getting a free haircut there, but able to stay alive long enough to deploy the sound barrier, and Creative getting his hands dirty. Flora can only look on here as the New York Excelsior want to bustle their way into this last phase of the map. Love this from Creative, keeping Kellen well and truly standing now. And now we'll pop Annihilation. Is that an Annihilate Jax?
No.
No?
Just seemed like a little bit of a victory Annihilation there towards the end. He was also really low. Just tried to, I think get another Nemesis form, I think just kind of came out of it. So
yeah.
4 minutes on the clock here for New York. Try and get around this second corner. You got the overclock here from Fitz. That could be pretty dangerous, right? Lots of players lining up around here.
Now, while he hasn't been invisible this round, Flora, the stage is set for him to step up in a big way and buy some of this
back
clock
to the
back.
Hanzo.
Yep. Looked really good from him on attack. Okay, here's the Blizzard, though. Justice want to start off the fight. Great Immortality Field deployed there for Kellen. Maywall
Nice
also.
as well, yeah.
Yep, screen him from that long-range damage, especially the Hanzo. Very easy to punish there. So this Blizzard goes for naught, essentially. Now we try the Amp Matrix. This time, looks a lot better. Psycho logged. Can't see the plank in his own eye, I guess, as Flora finds a second.
Flora just standing motionless, just firing Hanzo logs through an Amp
If you
Matrix.
move, it adds more uncertainty to an already very uncertain trajectory.
Yeah, so New York end up falling in that fight. Still 3 minutes and counting. This next fight's pretty dangerous, though. Mirror's going to have an Annihilation. You're right here at this choke. Like, you should get really... New York has to step up, right? You're going to get good value out of it, you would imagine.
Those keeping track at home, yes, Matt's voice does go up a couple octaves when he's lying to you. There's the Maywall. Okay, overclock.
Does it?
It does.
Okay, here it is. They should have been worried. I mean, look at this.
Ooh,
I mean,
my goodness. All right.
yeah.
It's the Annihilation. So the Justice have been able to cycle some big ultimates in the last couple of fights pretty successfully, right? First it was the Blizzard that was shut down, but they're still able to win out.
It's actually impressive how fast the Justice were after the first checkpoint, right? Because like New York's kind of like barreled through this, so to speak, and like they're on pace to maybe
They didn't
finish
lose
at
a
the
fight. They
same
just-
time,
yeah.
like or even lose. Yeah,
The Justice just straight up didn't lose a fight.
yeah.
Since moving to the Hanzo, Flora has now to find a couple of big final blows there. Dragon Strike on
I thought you were going to say since he switched to Hanzo, he's won them the game.
That may not be wrong either. You don't need to go up an octave for that one. Flora, though, big first pick.
Yep. And this is what Hanzo does. Just so annoying. Just, hey, we're going to come out and push through this doorway. Finds keeps it headshot level, finds a pick. Okay, well, let's wait. And how many times can you do that? Eventually, you're going to have to go.
Approximately 3 times
I
more.
like that.
if they're
That's
lucky.
cheeky.
Ooh, the Maywall as well. Okay. They've able to fall back here, and they're able to get a Amp Matrix in play. Flora maybe overextending a little bit into that. So the Hanzo's down. They've lost FD God. So what's your option for repositioning now? Pressure is on. Yeah, again, Mirror's going to be struggling here. Blizzard thrown in. It's frozen up. The angle's good enough, at least, for Creative to follow up with some extra damage. Alpha U going to be shunted aside here. Looks like New York are going to finish, and they finish within 3 seconds of one another. I mean, if you're New York, you can't be upset about this.
No, I mean, you have to be pretty pleased with how things went, right? I don't know if you caught it when we were on with Flora. I don't know who he sits next to. It has to be either like a mirror
Well,
or...
we have SH, so we need IN. So Teru, I
Teru,
think, right?
yeah, I was going to say Teru, because you had Mirror and Teru on the cart. And you can see through the X-ray, obviously, we have on observers, that he's looking and trying to talk to the person next to him. Because he's trying to line the dragon up for the players on the cart through the wall. And I actually think he's like looking at the screen and lines the dragon up, but then he actually gets pushed and taken out. It's like a cheeky, people use that on LAN, right?
Yep.
Like, obviously being able to like coordinate things with another player, being able to see their screen. I just thought that was really interesting, catching it from the player POV.
We used to see it a lot between... who would do it? We would see like Sombra players have
Reinforcing to Vic.
I mean, yeah, those two were just looking into each other's eyes, mate. No screens required there.
I thought you were trying to find players that you saw doing it. No, yeah,
like with Sombras.
Sombras pretty often, right? Like looking and seeing, like setting up an EMP or things like that.
Or you'd look at your Sombra screen to see what their backline. If you're like a Winston, yeah, see that quite often.
Sombra scouts for information. Winston then can kind of like make the play and dive in.
Right. So again, for New York, first order of business, dig Mirror out of this position. Fitz, though, comes off second best. Flora, very safe off angle here. The attackers are in an awkward spot.
I'm surprised with both teams having success with the Hanzo, why nobody decided to maybe like kind of come out with the Hanzo here.
Yeah,
it feels like a little bit easier to kind of like push, but still.
It may be the mobility as well. It's a little bit easier to respond to like a amp speed boost when he can sort of slide away. Overclock maybe feels more consistent as an ultimate. Fits down again, so Flora's just slapped him back twice in quick succession here. Eventually, Mirror, though, you think, yeah, he has to succumb.
Yeah, eventually he's got to die, right? I mean, it's just so low there, but this has been pretty good for the Justice. Burning pretty much that whole minute off the clock, and even more, because Alfie, he's going to come out of block. Maybe he'll do a little bit of damage, though.
Creative there. Those were just Exo Boots, chat. Just using his Exo Boots. Again, very important, you actually have the direct hit your Amatra with a lot of those healing grenades, otherwise you probably can't keep him healed up through that pressure.
Yeah, you do have, I mean, Kellen way further towards that Annihilation, and then also Psycho towards that Blizzard. So maybe this catches the Justice off guard a little bit that these players have these ultimates, or coming close to these ultimates.
And here's the Chug Doom. New York maybe don't feel like they have the time to leave the cart and wrap around. They're going to have to go for the old-fashioned route. Mirror, just tucked in that corner.
I think you wait for this Annihilation. You can like Sound Barrier Annihilation, just run on through. They actually decided Blizzard.
Okay, give them a bit of room. Oh, the defender flank. FD got him Flora. Nice little two-piece there, but Terra's going to fall to Creative in the Amp Matrix. Flora wants to take the fight to him, but a timely Sound Barrier from Lep means it's going to be harder to put pressure on Creative than Flora thought. Lep is going to be there, staves him off. Kellen inside the Annihilation, probably not feeling awfully comfortable right now. A lot of healing still available though for New York. Creative and Lep are alive. They kept each other alive under the onslaught of Flora. And now the Annihilation expiring. There's an Immortality field in play. New York have some momentum to work with.
Oh, that is so massive because we know how good New York was on defense at that corner against the Justice. Now they just kind of have like a path of maybe just doing that again and being able to get a win out of this. Or FD God just comes off the spawn. I don't know if you're going to be able to challenge this. This is going to be that first checkpoint.
I mean, they don't have like a Lucio here. No one can really touch. Malfoy knows he probably dies if he tries to touch cart there. So here come New York with an extra checkpoint here, no less. Maywall thrown up. Kellen a little beleaguered there. Yeah, maybe the Maywall pretty huge. Creative unable to heal him through that one. Immortality field. Overclock now coming into play for Fitz. So it'll be a great way to break the deadlock here, but Flora shuts Lep down mid-air, and that will be that for New York's push. But hey, checkpoint. Ain't nothing to sneer at.
Yeah, get the checkpoint. An opportunity there for New York on the defensive end to just kind of flood out of that window, maybe get a hold if it gets to that point where they're in a spot where, I mean, I did not have New York sweeping the Justice today. I don't think anybody did at all, where this would be a huge surprise if they're able to steal this final half. I think they play extremely close, right? You play extremely close here if you're New York. Do you consider playing like a Hanzo off the rip, or do you stay with the Sojourn? I think maybe for the consistent damage.
I think you want to get the Ramatra out of position.
Yeah.
I think you want the Sojourn.
I think you want the Hanzo, like anything after this first
Danny, I didn't know you could twerk like that.
I mean,
nice. That's nice.
Yeah, you are not muted.
No, I know.
Yeah, no, that was...
I know. Got to call the guy out. Trying to distract you, boy.
You guys have fun here. It looks like, you know, sometimes it's like you just faking having fun at home, but no, you guys are actually having fun here,
yeah. So much fun that you thought you could turn up in a white t-shirt.
I look fantastic.
That's wild. All right, here's Psycho. And this is an overtime, bear in mind, and Mira's still alive here. Look at the Blizzard. Gets blocked by the wall.
Nice.
And yet, who
Defensive
dives?
Blizzard.
Yeah, well, actually, it ends up being that way because I think Flora is the one that dives into that to try and get a kill. So, funny how these things work out. All right, minute 13 here, Washington Justice. Can they get that checkpoint?
So what are you looking at here? You want to try and buy like 20 or so seconds. They come out with the Hunter, they get just a log. Jump over the wall, just a headshot.
Okay. All right. I want to point out that the possibility of a draw is drastically increased because the attackers in overtime only got the checkpoint and no further.
Oh, that's true.
So
I mean, this would... yeah, you do go into like the stats on like escort draw. Like it is possible. It is like a 1 in like 75,000 like type of like chance, like in which I think like they actually kind of
like Doctor Strange peering into the
see
universes.
That stuff kind of happen. Yeah, it is. It can happen. It's just really bizarre. So we are in that territory though.
19 final blows, 10 deaths for Flora. Great opener from him, but how do you solve this particular problem? 23 seconds here. Justice have a fight and change to get the cart to that first checkpoint, and losing Alpha Yi in that front line early. Uncharacteristic error that could cost them dearly.
Yeah, and the Mei is such a great, like, kind of brawler in that area of the map. And I really like Fitz now going over to the Hanzo. Talked about, like, after that first checkpoint going over to Hanzo, right? Once you give up that spawn door, you can just get these insta-kills as Justice fighting for their life.
Overtime is underway. Alpha Yi may need to be the first to step up, and so he does. He cops a mean left hook from Kellen on the way through, though, and will be forced out to the very vestiges of the cart.
Dragon for Fitz coming on soon here.
Okay, New York want to give it a bit of ground here. Kellen opting to play off the cart. Just tucked in that corner here. New York might be playing for an Ant Matrix Dragon Strike through the choke, something similar. Flora has one as well. Okay, that's Flora's. Kellen being tickled by that right now. Immortality Field has to be deployed in that corner to keep him standing. Here's the Ant Matrix now. Kellen needs that help, and he gets it topped up nicely there. It's going to be FD God falling to the Dragon Strike of Fitz, and Psycho finds Alpha Yi. What next? Kellen's going to go down here to this annihilation. Mira's able to get it just the right time. Terry wants to push up as well. Mira finds 3, and all of a sudden the Justice have a real crack at this. New York don't have a chance to get here in time, Matt.
Flora jumped around the corner, killed Lep, who had the sound barrier. That was, it happened on the last time on that corner as well. Can you get a touch here? You're going to have Lep coming in to spawn here with Kellen, and he's going to have the annihilation.
Chariots of Fire, Lep drops down, has the sound barrier available. Keep your eyes peeled for that Lucio ultimate now as Kellen is able to stand on the card. Here comes Fitz on the Sombra. Blitz are going to be deployed now. That's going to be a blue one. Good for New York. They throw that one down. Immortality Field's going to get cut through, and Mira has to succumb. The sound barrier was there for the Justice, but not quick enough to keep their Ramatra in the fight, and New York have the numbers. FD God's going to be forced off, and he's dispatched. New York secure the 3-0. Flora looks on in dismay as the one chance for a comeback for the Justice is snuffed out.
So there's some slow clapping going on from the desk over there as this is a big surprise. I mean, fantastic series here from New York. Not able to just win this, but also win it in a 3-0. I mean, what a series that they play.
And again, this is a series when that is paved. Like, the hard work really goes in on those first couple of maps here, right? We definitely don't pick the Excelsior as a favorite coming into control. But again, they're on the right side of that, like, Farah versus Reinhardt sort of comp comparison. And then they transition sort of flawlessly into like a Winston setup on Shrine, and all of a sudden, they're a real contender in this series. Kings Row really just solidifies hopes, I think, for New York to start to make that run.
Yeah, I think you can tell on, like, the second point in control, specifically, that, like, this series was going to be one that was going to be a little bit longer. Like, the first kind of round, a little bit like in terms of, like, you know, playing against the Farah, like, really kind of back and forth. But, like, when they had to play multiple different looks, like, they were really good at a lot of them on Nepal. And it continued to carry over into Kings Row, and then obviously Shimbal.
Wow, we obviously, you know, going up against this sort of duo of Mira, Ben Best, both getting sort of rotated in. We've had a lot of questions about Kellen. I think, you know, if you were asked to describe Kellen as a tank player in the past, you'd struggle to come up with, you know, very strong sort of descriptors for them, because he hasn't really had a chance to shine. But now we see him really being called on again by this franchise to stand up and be their rock, and so far is looking excellent, like you said, over a bunch of different hero picks here.
Yeah, and Kellen's our player of the match today here in this series, and had a tremendous one. I think the DPS for New York played really strong, but in that Ramatra and when they needed him to play some Diva at times, right? I thought Kellen was really strong against a tank line that we've liked with Justice, right? With Mirror and Benbest being able to rotate in, play some different stuff.
Yeah, look, Psycho came in as a bit of a question mark too. We wondered, you know, how much of an impact would he be able to make, you know, coming in. The Austrian turns up in a big way in this series, right? Playing a lot of Mei, but we saw multiple different heroes come out from Psycho. Fitz was rotating into that support role, but we saw, okay, Creative is still on the Ana. Creative, obviously, an excellent Ana player. Fitz able to play the Baptiste, and again, finds like a double kill right at the start of King's Row. We're thinking, hang on, New York might be onto something here. Kellen, of course, like we said, the rock for this team, and as Ramatra has a fantastic performance. Again, having to go up against Mira, there's a lot of really complex chokes to navigate on Shambhala Monastery. And New York are just a very solid team. No one trying to put the world on their back. They just really haven't figured out right now.
No, I mean, they did a fantastic job keeping him alive today. I mean, you see the deaths really low. Lots of time spent in arms folded mode for Ramatra there, just blocking tons of damage there. Just did a really nice job.
Yeah, so got to give it to New York. Again, moving to 3 and 4 here is a pretty strong sign for this team. There's plenty of runway as well for them to continue to improve. We got question marks, though, about this Washington Justice team.
Yeah, a lot now.
Not sure about that one. Keen to hear what our desk has to say about the Justice, but also favourably the New York Excelsior after taking a key win here. So we're going to check back in with them on the other side of these messages.
Bubble. Main no ice. Bapte. Nice, guys. Nice.
Oh!
Nice.
Holy fuck!
Nice. Yeah. They were heated for sure.
Wow. Emotions running high for sure. Well, rightfully so though, because that was
a big win for them. That was a big win. That was a big statement for New York.
Yeah, and I mean, none of us predicted that one correctly, and not just.
It's technical difficulties. You did that. Go on.
I didn't see anything.
Good. You saw nothing. You saw nothing.
Well, now I need to know, but sure, let's just move on. Me, the only one not noticing. I do want to discuss this matchup. Obviously, we have to talk about how New York got it done, and most importantly, we also have to mention that with this victory, 3-0 over the Washington Justice, New York Excelsior now secured a space in the knockouts, which is a fantastic achievement for this team. They looked good doing so. Yeah. Was this New York looking fantastic? Was this Washington dropping the ball? A bit of A and B? Where we at?
I'd say a little bit of both.
I do think on the rush.
All right, we get it, production.
We were wrong.
Yeah, we were wrong.
I think on this was a great map pool for New York. On the rush comps, they looked really polished, really practiced, especially when they were able to play that mantra. But the really surprising map for me was King's Row. I mean, that's a dive mirror pretty much the whole time, and New York ran away with it. I mean, it wasn't particularly close either. So honestly, I think I've got to give props to Fitz. He didn't seem to be an issue at all, especially on the Brig, which is a swap we've actually seen more commonly for DPS players going to the Brig as opposed to like the Ana or the flex support heroes. So to be honest, I really liked what I saw in New York. Again, I agreed with Matt. Like, I prefer them. I prefer the Ryan comp on this village map, even though this was the only one they managed to lose. It just was a great series for them. But you've got to think Washington looked flat.
Yeah, I think Bembest was definitely on Kings Row was having a hard time, and
Absolutely.
I think they were. I don't know what it was, but for me, what I was seeing, I think they were just sort of a little bit lost in some ways how they were playing. But I mean, I don't want to take anything away from New York. New York looked fantastic for this match. I think Shockwave definitely not only on the Ashe but on the Hanzo as well. Like, he was on one today.
Yeah, he took the tempo time and time again. Really, every player contributing, coming in together. There wasn't an obvious weakness for New York. I guess that's how it happens often when you get steamrolled like this. But I think Alpha Yi, it felt actually like, from what we've seen from the Justice, we really felt how much it hurts this team when Alpha Yi isn't hard carrying your team. I mean, it's not reasonable to expect one player can pop off and carry every single match, every single map. Like, it's just too difficult to do. And I think we saw some of the weaknesses of the Justice, that they're lacking that overall strength in the roster.
Yeah, and I mean, this wasn't close. This was not a close one. So, Jonathan, let's talk about some specifics here. You have your eyes on the tanks.
I have my eyes on the tanks, and it's a pretty even matchup. Bembest, pretty good Winston player. Kellen, we've been hyping up his Winston, pretty even. Hero damage about equal, eliminations pretend about equal. Final blows, the exact same final blow. Wait, what is this? What is going on here? Bembest, 7 deaths per 10 minutes, and meanwhile, Kellan, 1.4 deaths per 10 minutes. Big discrepancy when it comes to the deaths on these Winstons on King's Row. And this was, as Jake said when we recapped the game, the big story for me in this matchup anyway. This is the composition that Washington has looked so good on. But if we take a look at an example, a fight from this very map, we can see that this Washington Justice roster aren't really playing the way they're supposed to. So we're setting up here on point B, and you can see that Bembest and Teru, they're setting up here for a nade play. They want to go aggressive deep into the backline here and really engage on top of the New York Excelsior. But it's very passive play here, and I also want to highlight that Alpha Yi is playing around the cart right now on this Tracer. So as we sort of like move through this clip a little bit, we can get through a couple of seconds here. Because in New York, they actually get a lot of free positioning. We can go ahead and slow things down and pause right around here. I mean, if I'm Kellan right here, I'm just pushing this cart for free. Like, look how much space this is. Kellan wants to jump into the backline over here, and just like getting this free space, Bembest is not contesting at all on the high ground. He's just moving along the cart. If I'm Kellan, I'm like, this is free real estate. I'm so happy right now. And also, because Alpha is playing on the cart, look at where Psycho is on the Tracer. He's just walking in for free, completely uncontested in this fight. So as we go ahead and play this fight out, we can see that yes, the dive comes through. It's a great nade. Creative is going to take some heat there from Bembest and Alpha Yi, but just letting New York Excelsior walk up like this, you can see in the kill feed, Kellan trades Teru, and New York actually successfully dives the Washington Justice, because Washington, they're not contesting the space, they're not contesting Psycho on the Tracer, they're letting Kellan walk up on the Winston. So pretty uncharacteristic from Washington Justice in my opinion. They used to be the super aggressive dive team, but at the end of the day, it's New York Excelsior with the successful dives on King's Row.
And it's surprising because, as you said, right, they are known to be a successful dive team. But you mentioned it just before when we were watching those highlights. This time around, Washington Justice, they look disconnected. They did not look like that team was on the same page. But again, we don't want to take anything away from the New York Excelsior. That was a fantastic victory from them. So let's bring in one of the players from the winning team for a winner's interview. We have Shockwave ready for a quick chat. Shockwave, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, Shockwave, I mean, we gotta ask you, how'd you guys get it done? I mean, this one, you guys were definitely the underdogs coming into this match, but you guys look dominant. What changed for you guys? How'd you guys get this win against the Washington Justice today?
I honestly don't think there was too much change. Actually, just that we were kind of underrated, I think, from our previous matches. I think that shock match, still hurts today. And even like our Toronto match was close. So I think just us like getting better with time. So yeah, I think today we just kind of played our game. I would say.
Yeah, I think the pieces really came together. I guess I want to know from your perspective how it is, like for me stylistically, you guys looked at your strongest playing these Ramatra Rush comps. And I just kind of want to know, how do you feel as you diversify into like this more and more comps in the meta, which it seems right now there's so many swaps you have to keep up with. Like, how are you personally keeping up with that as a player?
I mean, we've always tried to like get like the best all-around comps. And then we have like scenarios where you kind of have to like brute force it. Like we had some on King's Row or like hybrid maps where we had Fitch on support, right, and then I'm playing, so we weren't like leaning too much into Sombra, and then we kind of sometimes had to just brute force the hit scan. Like, I mean, in scrims and such, like I'm trying to make it work, right, playing Ash or Hanzo, but some teams using Sombra Tracer, I think it's one of those where it's winnable, but it's so hard. Like, it's so hard. So I think sometimes we play like the best all around, and then sometimes also we just kind of brute force it, right? We play to our team identity, and then we just out from scrims, right? We try to make it work. So.
Shockwave, I'm curious, talking about your own game, of course. You're a pretty unique player because when you came into the Overwatch League, I knew you for your fantastic Widowmaker, but also your Echo was fantastic, but now you play a lot of long-range hit scan as well. What is next for in your personal career? Like, what heroes are you trying to be really good at? How do you look at yourself as a player in the Overwatch League?
I mean, with more and more screen time, I think, and also this meta, I've had more game time on Sombra. I feel like it's one of those heroes where it's like very important to just be somewhat good at, like not be a complete hit scan one trick. So I would say Sombra definitely has been probably the most important one to like kind of learn a bit on the side. But I mean, I like playing hit scan, right? So also just keep playing that, right? Stay high level on that.
Right on. Well, Shockwave, Manya for the interview. We were so excited to finally hear from you and your team, and can't wait to see what you guys have in store for us in the knockout. So congratulations to clinching the spot for a chance on the ticket to Korea. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And off he goes, Shockwave from the New York Excelsior, getting that 3-0 victory over the Washington Justice, which is just such an exciting result for that team. You heard it from him, right? Like, they're underrated.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that being true, based on some of their previous results, right? They did play the Shock very close. It felt like that was more of like a mental boom situation after they C9. They look so weak the rest of the series. But I don't know if that's like that's not really a fair representation of their strength as a team. So maybe we were underrating New York. I do have to say, though, I mean, I think Justice are like an upper mid-table team. Even if we think New York can like break into that mid of the pack, I would still have expected Justice to put up more of a fight in this series. Yeah. So I think there's still more to see from both of these teams, but it's a great result for New York. Looking forward to that qualifier.
Absolutely. Now, another thing, of course, to look forward to is the Contender Spring Series. That's right. It's back this Monday as well as Tuesday.
Drops.
That's right. Drops. That's right, you can earn your Reaper and you lose your Contender skin by watching. Check out overwatchleague.com/path2pro for more details on that. Now, another thing we are very excited about is, of course, the last match of the day. That's the one we're hailing as the banger, which is usually when they disappoint. But this one, guys, I can feel it. I read it in the tea leaves this morning. Outlaws going up against the Mayhem. A lot on the line for both of those teams, currently sporting exactly the same score. So, of course, having a victory here will give them a better chance at securing that second spot, that second bye into the mid-season madness of Korea. Two stacked rosters. We already touched on this in great detail in the pre-show, but let's run it back. Let's give us one more than TLDW didn't watch on what we need to look out for here in this very match.
I see this match as very much a clash of styles. I think Florida, they're going to be playing around Merit. It's all about Merit's game. Can we enable him? Can we enable him to find those picks and punish, especially that greedy double flex support composition the Outlaws might try to bring? Vice versa, it's going to be on the Outlaws. Take all the space away on the map. They're going to be playing most likely more mobile compositions. You got to punish Florida for giving up map control. You got to clean them out one by one until you pretty much own the whole map, and then the kills are going to come to you. So really, I think that question is who can enforce their will on the game. who can dictate the pace.
I also think we're going to find some interesting answers on some compositional stuff we've seen from the Outlaws these past few matches. For example, as you mentioned, we've seen more Doomfist. If they bring out the Doomfist in this series, does Gunba have a plan for that? Have they prepared accordingly? Florida Mayhem definitely knows that it's up Houston's sleeve to bring out the Doomfist. And another one, of course, the very much important Violet Zenyatta. It's a bit of like ace up their sleeve that Houston Outlaws have pulled out at times if the enemy team can't dive the backline, for example. Great, we'll play Ana Zenyatta and utilize the Discord to our advantage. What is Florida Mayhem going to do if Violet brings out the Zenyatta? I think that is going to be a crucial question as well going into this game.
If we're looking at the most recent games of both those teams, I feel like for Florida Mayhem, a few more cracks have shown versus what we've seen from the Houston Outlaws. Would you guys agree with that?
Yeah, I think Florida, as they played stronger and stronger teams, going on in the season, it hasn't looked nearly as clean, right? We saw Valiant almost take them in a 5-map banger series. Not what you'd expect from one of the top teams, frankly. So for Florida Mayhem, we need to see an evolution from them, I think, in this series. We need to see that they can handle a top team, which so far they haven't shown us.
Yeah, and they are going up against a top team, the Houston Outlaws. This is a tough one to predict, though, because obviously two very, very strong contenders for that second bye. I went with the Outlaws here because I really haven't seen them, except from 1 or 2 games where they had maybe a little bit too much fun. But other than that, I do feel like they've just been showing us dominant performances time after time against pretty much every team they played. Whereas, as I just said, Florida Mayhem, a few more cracks in the armor, a little less solid, a little more shaky, maybe a little bit more loose in their approach.
I also went with Houston Outlaws, but I went with 3-2 victory for Houston Outlaws. I think, Florida is also a great team. I don't think they're going to go down without a fight. And, when there's maps that are more favored to, like, Ram Brawl, I think it's going to be Florida taking the maps. I think it's going to be a very close match.
I went with Houston, but I actually think it'll be 3-0. I probably should have paid attention to the map set, to be honest, because I think there's a decent chance Florida can, have a map that really, really suits their style. But what I'm worried about for Florida is that I think Houston can just mirror match the style and play the same style if they want to, and they won't feel too bad about that. Like if you're going to play double flex support, Houston's happy to mirror you, right? If you're going to play Ramatra, I think Houston also doesn't mind mirroring you. So for me, I don't really see too much of an edge for Florida in the series. Johnny.
Is it...
There was a bit of a spoiler earlier you missed, Zoe. You can unveil the...
Well, I guess...
It's a bit of an underdog pick here. Hey, look, I got 2 points to play with here, and I'm still ahead of you guys. But
yeah,
as Jake pointed out, I think the map set is going to be interesting in this one. The first couple of maps, to spoil it for you, it's Oasis and Hollywood. 2 really good maps, I'd say, for Houston Outlaws in that. But if we get to Junkertown, if we get to New Queen Street, I think the later this series goes on, I actually think Florida Mayhem has a chance with some of their fun compositions. So I think Houston might take an early lead, but if this series goes on, I got Florida Mayhem with a 3-2 upset.
All right. I don't think Junkertown's good for them, but we'll see. That'll be an exciting one. Actually.
Yeah, I guess we'll find out very soon. First off, though, I do want to take a look at where the chat is going with this one. This should be really close. Wait, what?
70?
Okay.
I think that's kind of fair.
Yeah.
I think.
Is it
Yeah. Houston are really good.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, they are really good, but I mean,
they got a lot of fans too.
Bad. I don't know.
24% is not nothing.
I know there will be more. I'm a little disappointed. Is all I'm saying.
There.
I mean, I gave the edge to Houston, like, convincingly, so I don't know why I'm that surprised. But let's bring in our casters, some more big brains in our studio. Where are we going with this one?
The Mayhem pick is, that's up there with a Schofield style. That's like a Carolina Reaper level.
It wasn't just a Mayhem pick, it was like a reverse sweep Mayhem
very specific, right?
Johnny,
so granular.
Johnny's found some extra money under the couch.
Look, he's right though. The first couple of maps, you definitely feel like it favors Houston, especially that sort of Hollywood map. I think that's going to tell us a hell of a lot about this series.
Yeah, but I feel like the Outlaws have been so strong. Like, I don't know, 3-0 is still a really strong pick from Jake.
I like 3-0. Actually, I don't mind the 3-0 pick here, genuinely, for Houston.
Against Florida?
Yep. In Florida. I think these 2 teams are on either side of the tier break between Atlanta, Houston, and everybody else. So
Florida's the top of the next tier.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, the Valiant game, though, was not very convincing. That had me, shaking a little bit. So that throws a spanner in the works for me big time. The Valiant, look, great team. Any given day can really turn up. And looking like, New York in that same sense, playing really solid. But I don't know about the Mayhem here. I'm curious to see what someone has in that tank role. I think that we've expected to see more of his Winston, I think, at the start of the season, but it was very heavily Ramatra based. They really like to play Ramatra Rush.
Yeah, and they've been good at it. I just think the Outlaws can play everything at such an insane level. I would say like this series definitely trends more towards a 3-0-3-1 than I would say reverse sweep, you know, going down to the wire there with Mr. Reinforce.
Yeah, it's fun though. I like that from Johnny.
I also just generally don't trust people in turtlenecks and shorts.
No one knew about the shorts until you exposed it. My goodness.
Well, no, he got up and did a television.
Oh, that's true. That's true. He did. Okay. All right. You're good.
He got up.
Yeah, that's an interesting combination. I'll
I
let
like
you
it.
decide.
I
I'll
like
let you
it.
just do you?
It's like winery on the top and, you know, basketball game down at the park on the bottom.
Well, it's like you telling Scotty to drink expensive wine watching the basketball, right? It's like that. Yeah. Okay, I like that. I like that juxtaposition. All right, here comes Florida.
I love this from Houston, by the way. Just you know, play this aggression. You're seeing it from the Mayhem as well, but like typically this is like Houston's like one of their best looks, right?
Yeah, the Winston-based composition. They catch Happy out early, though. I think Merit's able to find a translocator, and Happy really has nowhere to go once he returns to it. High ground, though, that's where the fighting is starting to reach a bit of a fever pitch. Violet eventually going to be brought down. Churong trying to get there for someone, but realizing he can go back to the point and get this cap underway.
In one spot that I think that maybe the Florida Mayhem have a little bit of an advantage in these types of comps, which is quite rare because you really don't see that like the Outlaws kind of give up an advantage in any of these types of like divey comps, is I actually think Merit on the Sombra. I think Merit on the Sombra can be a spot where Florida can definitely win. You already see him versus Happy, right? 70% of that EMP to about 40.
He's looked excellent this round. I mean, he's a big part of that pick they just generate on Fearless. As Fearless tries to crawl away from the point, gets chased down. So again, subverting expectations that may have been developed from the desk in our conversation earlier here. Many of us thought the Outlaws were in such a strong position. I think that they must have included, Houston, Florida, and Jake as options, and they just folded Jake's votes, like you said, into the Houston result.
It was 25% Florida, 45% Jake, rest Outlaws.
Again, Merit opens up the account again.
Yeah, it's like, we obviously talk about the rain as this is an EMP, as Fearless just gets deleted. I mean, honestly, Florida's dominated the round up until this point. We talked so much about the Outlaws and obviously the Rain being, very strong teams, two of our top teams. Like, Florida was great, obviously, through the Pro-Am. Ended up taking that, right, with RuPaul winning the MVP of that. And they've kind of carried it over to the season. I mean, they're 5-1. You looked at these records and expected maybe Florida to be like 4-2 or something like that with the way we're kind of considering the game. So that ends up Checkmate just recalling there right into his own spot.
Well, that's what happens if you've been stood still for a while and you get accosted. You're just as vulnerable as a Summer who's had her translocator scouted out. But it's a matter of translating that kill into a point take. And Florida have been able to stall that admirably so far. Kitsune rush here, deployed by RuPaul. Pelican going to be folding away from that now. And a nano Winston here for Fearless just to get the job done, just to get the Outlaws in the game.
And if you think about how Johnny talked about this series beforehand, like Florida winning these early maps would be huge for them, right?
Even he didn't expect that.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, because he predicts that like kind of this series as it goes on, it starts to get better for Florida in terms of the map pool. So being able to play against the Outlaws dive and beating them at it with your own would be huge.
What do you think about the Lucio list set up here for Houston?
It's definitely a little bit more defensive, right? Just trying to keep Shu alive. Because it seems like Merit and Checkmate have done a fantastic job being able to access that backline. So Violet just trying to keep Shu alive at any means possible.
All right, here comes that primal from someone. Brief interlude as he's stunned by the Brigitte. RuPaul goes down, so Pelican's been able to find a very important target midway through this fight, and someone does not have the healing required to stay alive there.
Brig paid off there, right? Shu got hit with a biotic grenade. He was quite low. Violet ends up popping the rally. They end up kind of keeping everybody alive all through that. So at least at the start, looking good, kind of bringing that Brig into the mix.
Yeah, Merit right now, 1 minute 50 per ultimate. Happy caught up, 2 minutes 11 per ultimate. Obviously small sample size, but that EMP is definitely going to be an important factor.